glad to be here with all of you because I'm so glad that Nama is making me sit in my chair and focus. And I'm really glad to do that with all of you because otherwise I'm going to have to get up and like run around like a Looney Tune. But I'm very glad to have this moment together, um, especially this week. So I am going to stop talking. I'm just going to say thank you for all of us, for all of you for being here and deciding to spend the beginning of this week together with us. Thank you to Naama for holding us and for giving us this excuse to find room in our week and make room in our week to do this together, just to have a minute to breathe. And I really am just so grateful for having had this time and this opportunity and just this minute to start the week off in a way that feels different. Really, like I know the inspiration to do this was a little bit from like a Havdalah, like instead of doing that Havdalah ritual of separating between Shabbat and the week, this feels something different for me in my week. And I'm so grateful to you, Nama, for giving us that, for giving us your Yemima Torah that feels also so different and yet so familiar and accessible in weird and wonderful ways for me. Because it's a new way of thinking. It's stretching me differently, and pushing my heart in different ways. I just want to remind all of us coming together, how we come together gently, with respect, with confidentiality. I know that we've all been together. Many of us have been together and some of us have floated in and out, but just a reminder that whatever is shared here stays here. And that should be your expectation for whatever you offer into the room. And everybody can expect the same from you in return. And that we're going to look for all the ways that we can to show up with love and respect for one another, and to hold each other however best we can. And Nama, thank you for doing this for us. And thank you for being our teacher always.
Thank you, Arya, for holding the space and making it happen. And good morning. Happy Monday, everyone. Um, yeah, we're we're I just can't believe that it's like the fourth time. I was going through my notes and I was like in a little bit of like a running mode. This morning, my son was on spring break all of last week, so I kind of like moved to a different pace. You know, babies just live by their own needs. They don't care about the clock or the watch or whatever Zoom is like on. So for a week, I was just like not so attentive to calendars. Um, and then this morning, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so looking forward to teach the third class of Ogen. And I was going into my notes and I was like, oh, okay, I prepped number 4. So just to say, it's so great. So last week, we actually really spoke about Yemima's um, amazing sentence where she says, "אי אפשר לתקן עולם." It's impossible to fix the world. You remember that? אי אפשר לתקן עולם. And what does it mean that we can't fix the world? What does it mean to have like this radical acceptance that we cannot fix the world and it's not a problem? That we can do all kinds of things, but fixing the world, the type of like control that we want to have, and I feel it so much even stronger. I feel like every week, I feel like I need my anchor even deeper. Because you think that it's already crazy and then it gets crazier. Then you think it's already so crazy and then it gets crazier. So um, I'm going back to that sentence just to connect us to last week. If it's impossible to fix the world, which means we cannot control what's happening in the world. We cannot get the world to be what it used to be, even when we have so much yearning for it to be what it was. Because the world is a living place and it's a connected network of life. And the nature of life is it's always, all the time growing, always, all the time developing. It doesn't stay in one place, it doesn't stay frozen. That's not life. You know, when I was walking back today, from daycare, I saw this truck here in Berkeley. So we have a little bit of it's raining here this morning. And I saw this truck that has like a lot of dirt, as it's called here, right? Soil, in the back of the truck. And there was like a lot of growth from like the bottom of the truck. It was like weird. I was like, why are things growing from the bottom of the truck door? So apparently there was like a lot of soil in the back of the truck, in the open space, in the back of the, um it's like a truck with an open back. I don't know exactly how it's called. And I was like, oh, okay, so there's dirt there. Like life just finds their way. They're just like always growing. Something's growing. You know how when you see like a crack in a sidewalk and something grows and you're like, what? How did you get here? So it's just like it's the way of life that things all the time emerge and change. And I think that sometimes that might feel, especially for us living in this world that is so controlled. We live in a world of modernity that gave us so many nice things by controlling things that were uncontrollable before. We can just go to the bathroom and flash the water. It just comes and goes, right? So in a way, we feel like, of course, we can fix everything. It's like the engineers have done so many amazing things. And Yemima reminds us we cannot fix the world. There are the things that are just alive, and they're not to be fixed. No person needs to be fixed. It's to be grown, to emerge. And the question is, how do we connect to that life energy, which she called the light inside us? How can we tap in there? How can we have it available for us to connect there where we feel, when we feel these like huge urge to control because it feels so scary? So I want to do today a very short check-in. We are going to step into our sacred space, but I'm actually going to give us 30 seconds to just, put our head here. So it takes 30 seconds to just write whatever stream of consciousness or whatever it is that you want to leave outside. And that's going to be our step into our sacred space. So 30 seconds, let's go. Na, 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 na. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, ay, da, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 da, 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 ay. Da, 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 ay, ay. Oh, ya, da, ya, da, da, ay. Oh, ya, da, da, ya, da, da, ay. Ay, ay, ya, da, ya. Ya, da, 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 ay. Ay, ya, da, ya, da, da, ay. This is the melody that I learned from, oh my gosh, what's the name of the guy who wrote the melody for Hamara Chagoeloti? Remember anyone? I'll find him and send.
Ellie Kranzler?
Yes, exactly. So this is his melody for Gam ki elech begeitz al mavet, even when I walk in the um, valley of shadow, I shall not be afraid. And I want us to speak today to go to Yemima's last part of the Chilek, which she called preparation for Nisan, preparation for this month of Nisan, of this month of budding. Nisan Hebrew in Akkadian means bad, nitzan. So it means be willing and courageous to say yes to life and to grow, even when you're like, don't know what's going to be outside, right? The flowers are always the most courageous. They're going to bloom and they don't know if there's going to be a rain or a wind that will come and sweep them. They're so gentle and so vulnerable. But the flowers know that if they open, I mean, that's the logic of nature, right? Then there will be fruit. And that's a risk. That's a risk to do that, but that can also bear fruit. And that's so Nisan is the time when we also are like called to action, called to like whatever small action it is that our soul is to do in the world. And it's a courageous and a frightening thing, and especially when the weather is not so clear. The pattern of the weather outside is not so clear. The pattern of the socio-cultural weather is not so clear. And I think we feel it very, very strong. So here are Yemima's words that I'm going to share with you. And I'm inviting us to do the dictation, which means I'm going to read and you're going to let the words go through the body from the ear to the hand. Write the words, and after we write them, we will just try to see what Havana, right? What insight is coming to me, and we'll talk a little more about it. So here's the chelek. I'm going to read parts of it. The light is immense in the moment of precision. The one who truly trusts she does not worry. When a person truly trusts, then a wall of light surrounds and protects them. Return to joy. And joy is like a path to rectification. Try to write.
Sorry, you said joy is a path to,
Rectification.
oh, rectification. Thank you. Sorry.
No worries. Try to write. What is balance? Remember that balance is not only of the soul, but also of the body, the heart, the mind. your intention to remain precise, out of understanding and responsibility. From awakening will come strength. Which will lead to acceptance of the personal role. I'm going to read now 2 more sentences, but not for dictation. Just listen in, and if you want, if there are words that speak to you, write them too. Outside, there is much urgency, general overwhelm. And imagine if everyone were rectified, metukanim, then instead of urgency, there would be light. The believer knows that when the time comes, they will receive an answer from above. Okay.
Can you just repeat those last 2 lines again? Please.
Yes.
Thank you.
Outside, there is much urgency, general overwhelm. And imagine if everyone were rectified, metukanim, then instead of urgency, there would be light. The believer knows that when the time comes, they will receive an answer from above. Okay. I am going to ask you to take 2 minutes, look at the words, and see what insights come to you. And of course, this is a chelek that can, give work for like a whole week. But we'll take 2 minutes in honor of time and see what comes to you, what comes to your soul where you are today. What is the insight there for you that is most sticking out to you, that is most helpful for you? And if you feel comfortable, put it in the chat. I'll call us back in 2 minutes. Okay, thank you, everyone. Thank you for your words. Please keep putting it in the chat. The chance. So beautiful already. Like Our words are truly a channel. The one who truly trusts does not worry. Balance is not only of the soul. Emunah, the pressure to try and fix everything is not only my responsibility. When there's overwhelm, if I choose to be metukenet, rectified, if I show up with joy and positive energy instead of anxiety, I would impact the world for the better, myself included. Balance is equanimity. Joy is like path to peace. Joy is not an end to itself, but means to peace. Beautiful. Thank you so much for these words, everyone. Trust, light, bitachon. Remember that balance is not only of the soul, but also of the body. Metukani means grounded. So, Shira Golan, just to you, I'll say that I did see that, in Aleinu, we're saying letaken olam b'malchut Shaddai, to fix the world with the providence of God. And the Ashkenazim, we have a version with letaken with kuf, which means to fix. And the Yamanites have a different version, letaken with kaf, which means to be grounded in. So, yeah. So just really interesting, right? Like how we're like thinking about fixing, and it's also impacted by the culture that we live in and the fixing that we kind of like are thinking about in that world. Okay. Thank you so much for your words. So we're gonna go back to Yemima's words for a few more insights that I prepared for us. So it just kind of like, I really felt like, wow, it's as if she's writing it right now. Outside, there's so much energy, urgency, general overwhelm. Like, whoa. And that general overwhelm sometimes, again, if we go back to the model that we started with, when a shock is coming, we have three things that happen, right? We act, we process emotions, or we disconnect. These all three things are a normal response to shock. We all do them. And the question is, how can we use these things, right? The action, the emotional processing, and the distancing, which can be also a good thing, of course, to take a moment to ourselves. How can we go there and do it in a way that is healthy for us? And Yemima teaches us in a way that builds a way for us to tap into our light, into the warmth in our heart, to our inner knowing, to the fact that we know that we have an inner voice, which sometimes is hard for us to attend, especially when we feel general overwhelm and urgency. I think that it may be only me, but I'm assuming other people too, when there's like feel of overwhelm and urgency, our kind of like intuitive thing to do is like to go to the phone, right? And to like scroll and look again and look again. Maybe there's more information. Maybe there's more information. Maybe there's something else I can do. There's like something there that takes us into what Yemima calls omis, which means a loop that has no way out. If you're in a loop, you're stuck. Yemima says we need to find our way to tap into the light, because the light, again, is life. It's not to be fixed. It's not a fixed loop. When we go back to life, we're getting answers to what we need to do in the next moment. In the moment, what's the precision right now? She says, in a moment of precision, there's so much light. We did 30 seconds of check-in, right? To just like, what's moving in me? What's going on? She calls this thing precision. Precision for her is not a big precision. It's a small precision. Precision is like, right now when I feel overwhelmed, what do I need? Yesterday, I really tried it because I was like, feeling that with all the news coming in, it was like, I was like, what do I need right now? And I was like, I need a boiled egg. Okay, it was like, it's like that small. But when I do that, then the next one is like, okay, and then I need to pay attention to the people that I want to invite for Seder. Okay. And then what do I need to do now? Okay. So like she says, diyuk, when in the moment of precision, there's light because something can go through. We want to be in the going through. We want to be in the wave of life. And I think for me, the first really important insight from this chelek is in the moment, right? How did you say it? The light is immense in the moment when in the moment when of precision. The light is immense in the moment of precision. That's just like one thing to remember. We want to be in the light, and the light is immense in the moment of precision. Just if we're in the loop, it becomes dark. The light cannot go through. Light, like water, If it's like in a loop, it's like stuck, it becomes not so healthy. It needs to move. And when we try to cling to something, that's a very strong trying to stay in the same place. We can't. And there's something a little releasing about it. To be like, okay. So the light is immense in the moment of precision. The second thing, the one who truly believes or the truly trusts, Ham Amina, the one who truly trusts, she does not worry. So I want to just like pay attention here to like how first you trust, then the worry slowly goes away. We're not fighting worries. We're not fighting anxieties. Yemima always said like, no fighting, no fighting. No force in the spiritual work. No force in the spiritual work. And Kriya Baruchani, you can't coerce in the spiritual work. You can't tell yourself to be joyous. You can't tell yourself to not worry. But you can tell yourself to trust. You can do diuk. You can take yourself to trust life a little more, to trust yourself a little more, to trust that you know what you need for the next minute a little more. And then worry will go away. And what else will help that worry to go away, or at least that worry to be in check? She says, try to write. What is balance for you? What is for me balance? No one tells me what balance is. It's not the same thing for everyone. And it's not just a spiritual work. She says, what is it for your body right now? What is it for your emotional place, heart right now? What is it for your mind? Do you need to read something? Do you need to get out of your mind and just go read something at the moment? So the balance is in many places, and each one place impacts the other things. You know, you hear a lot of people now saying, with the new thing that we have this week with the markets, people are saying, it's such an emotional game. So you ask yourself, is it an economic thing or is it an emotional thing? Yemima says, balance is everywhere. If I balance my body, it has impact on my emotion. If I balance my emotion, it has impact on my spirituality. So what is balance for me right now? So we have the precision and we have the question of what is balance? Write to yourself. What is balance for me? This is a spiritual work. And then she says, from awakening will come strength, which will lead to acceptance of the personal role. Now, something so fascinating to me is she says, we can't fix the world, but then she says, outside there's much urgency, general overwhelm. And imagine if everyone were rectified, metukanim. So are we fixing or are we not fixing? What are you saying to us? And I think what I get here too is like she says, you have a personal role. You have a personal role. In that big, big tapestry, you have a personal role. And your role is not to worry about how everything is going to come together. It's chaotic. And only maybe God is able to understand how everything is coming together. It's what people sometimes call a wicked problem, right? There's no clean solution, but you have a personal role. And your personal role has its own way of bringing light into the world. And to accept and accept my personal role is a big deal. And I want to say, like, this week, a dear friend in our community here in Berkeley passed away. Her name was Dr. Miriam Petrock. I don't know if maybe people knew her. But she was like a brilliant researcher and just an interesting person in all kinds of ways. And she was like a huge lover of kids, but she did not get to have her own kids in her life. And part of like the conversation in the eulogies was about like really, it's a tough thing sometimes to accept your personal role in life. But it's also a brilliant and beautiful thing to understand that we have different roads. Our roads look very different. Not everybody's going to have the same life of everybody, and not everybody's balance is the same as everybody else's balance. But the light does go through everyone. Yemima says each person has the neshama. Each person has the soul. And the soul means God's revealing themselves to the world through you. And from that awakening to what is my precision, what's my bringing of the light right now, comes the strengthening. And from that strengthening, I'm able to accept my personal role, which is sometimes nice and sometimes hard, and always there's a personal role. And when people are willing to shine like that in these tiny little shiny places, I'm not speaking again of like big precisions, then all that urgency of like, you're like, I'm not here to solve that big puzzle. Some people are. If you're the prime minister of somewhere, maybe yes. But like, if you're like me, you're just a small person in a small life. There's so much urgency outside. And then imagine if everybody were metukanim. What does it mean? That they weren't trying to fix everything else, but like if people are doing the word of tikkun and kind of like building these ripples around them. Maybe instead of urgency, there was light. And when I know that I have a personal role, I trust that I will get my answers. My answers are my insights that come through the words of other people who invoke something in me, and that come through my insights from whatever is happening in my life. And I think that's for me is a big chidush of Yemima, why I love going back to her teachings and why she helps me. Because she says the Torah is beautiful and the Torah is a holy thing that we got with like the words, but also every person's life is Torah. The Torah is one revelation of the God's light through words, and your life too is a revelation of God through the words that you find, the insights that you find. And in times of overwhelm, when we feel metultalim, how do you say, like scattered, then we can go back to ask, what is balance? And to turn to the warmth of our heart to find the precision in our personal life and to offer this light in a sensitive and flexible way to those who are around us, who are part of our personal path. They are part of our personal path. And it's a little bit of a clumsy kind of way of thinking about spiritual life, not a clean, abstract, but I find it that it's a good reminder for me, and I hope it's a good reminder for others as well. So with that, we will stay here for 5 more minutes for whoever wants to keep chatting, but I also want to respect people's time on Monday morning. If you're wanting to commit to this group by putting one word of what's the Torah that you're going to take with you, the insight that you're going to take with you for this week, please leave it in the chat. And if you need to go, then we'll get it through the ether. And happy Passover. We're so glad to be together here.